So we've left the aqueduct and we've come to this absolutely stunning building, and I thought I'd recognise it. In fact, with Urban Monkey Adventures, we stayed on this campsite, well, on the field, on the Llangollen leg of their camp house. And when I was here last with them, I couldn't get into this building, it was locked, but fortunately the gate was unlocked. So the campsite here is called Abbey Farm Campsite. This is Val Crucis Abbey, and it's a medieval abbey that hosted lavish feasts. We're going to show you the front door now, and its Latin name actually translates as Valley of the Cross, and that refers to the nearby 19th century pillar erected for the glory of a Welsh chieftain. Look at that. We are going to try and get some drone footage. So anyway, poets have been here, celebrated by poets for its lavish hospitality, meals served in silver vessels and ale flowing like a river. In Urban Monkey terms, I think they'd call that a slurp. So anyway, go and check them out, Urban Monkey Adventures on YouTube, also Van Life Culture on Facebook. Great group. Anyway, back to this then. So yeah, meals were served in silver vessels, and as I said, the ale was flowing like a river. In Wales, only Tintern Abbey was richer when it was dissolved by the royal decree in 1537. And then there is a church here also. Well, there would have been a church over in that section there, but apparently elsewhere among the romantic ruins painted by Turner are the rib vaulted chapter house, the only surviving monastic fish pond in Wales. I'm not sure where that is, but we'll have a walk round. We will get Abbeys up. Look at that. Not a lot standing really, is there? You could see these would have been the massive pillars. Look there, would have been massive pillars. There's one in front of you there, another one there, another one there, another one there, and that would have formed the main structure of the abbey there. And then as we come through the archway, here we are then, that is the end wall. Again, look at that. The detail in these walls is amazing. So what's around here? And if I've mispronounced anything, then I'm sorry. I'm not very good at pronouncing stuff. I don't know. There's a gatehouse there. We're going to have a look at that as well. Wow, I think this might have been some graves. Look here, we're coming round the back now. Wow. Oh, I think we see the fish pond. There we are. Let's go to the bridge here. You can see over to the left hand side over there, that would have been the church. Look, wow, amazing. I'm so glad this is open. I doubt if this building is. Unfortunately it's not. There's a shame. Anyway, the fish pond is there. I think it's going to be time to get David up. There we are, there's the fish pond. There we are, beautiful colours in that. And And there is something in there, but I can't quite see. Looks like some tables and chairs. So this forms a part of the campsite there, look. So let's give you a quick shot of that building there. And back to the fish pond. There is a duck in it. Oh, there's 2 ducks in it. A double whack whack. Okay, right, time to get David up. We'll have a few shots. The sun has gone down a little bit behind some clouds, so that will be in our favour. There we are. Wow, what an amazing place. You can park free of charge. It appears you're coming into the campsite, but you're actually, well, I suppose you are, but there is parking to come into the grounds of the Abbey. And there you see in front of you again this detailing on these windows, absolutely crazy. They don't make them like that anymore. Let's have a quick look inside, shall we? Oh, there we are, beautiful, amazing. Wow, we'll have some footage inside there for you in a minute. Let's venture inside. The wind blowing through here. Look at the detail on the ceiling. Oh, mind the step, Nick. Wow, they certainly don't make ceilings like that either, do they? Absolutely crazy. Of course, these would have been your structural pillars, and as we all know, an arch is self-supporting. There you would have had the Gothic style arch there going into this main wall here, there, which would have carried the load. And looking back out of that window, so there we are, this would have been called the chapter house. Wow, crazy beyond. Okay, where to next then? Well, I think we're going to get the drone up while the weather's kind of settled, and you are allowed to fly over Cadw buildings or around Cadw buildings. All they ask is that you follow the relevant guidelines set down by the CAA, the drone code, of course. We have operator's ID, we have flyer's ID, although that's not required for my weight of drone. And of course we have insurance as well. There we are. We would be in the cloister, I think that's how you say it. Probably not. You can hear the farmer going, his son's on a his son was on a quad bike, and they had lamps in the back of the trailers. And here we are. We're going to have one of the front elevation, but as I said, we will get the drone up before the birds come to roost. Val Crucis Abbey for the last time. That's where we're going to leave this vlog. We might call into Aberystwyth on the way home for a cup of coffee. We was going to do supper out, but I think we will be home in good time instead. And just showing you the complexity of this building. Bearing in mind when this was built, they wouldn't have had structural engineers as we have them today. And yet they managed to build places like this. Now, yes, it's in disrepair, but you know, it is a long time old, isn't it? There we are, the sun is setting behind the hill. We are heading south home, and look at the sun beaming through there. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this one. If you kindly would do all the good stuff for me, it would be gratefully appreciated. Until the next one, whenever that may be, we'll see you then. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to call into Aberystwyth on the way home, so this is the end, just showing you some photos taken from the drone. So hope you've enjoyed it. We will see you on the next one. Bye for now.